Yo, what's up everyone? Paleo here, and yes, I just binge watched the entirety of Jurassic World Chaos Theory, and I'm here to talk about it. Before the video continues any further, I just want to disclaim that there will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen the series yet, make sure you go check it out because it's honestly such a great series. You should definitely watch it before you see anything spoilery because it's definitely worth it. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you go watch the show. But now with that out the way, the first thing I want to talk about is actually the ending of the show. So again, spoilers ahead, but as we all know, if you've seen the show, Brooklyn is indeed alive. She's missing an arm and her hair is completely blue now, but yeah, she's alive and she seems like she's evil now. And the reason I say that is because everything leading up to that, scene that revealed that Brooklyn was alive, it was really suspicious on Brooklyn's behalf on what exactly she was doing, before she, quote unquote died. And, for a couple of examples, obviously she went to Kenji's dad's place, Daniel's Khan's place, to, negotiate some deals, potentially buy some dinosaurs, as well as, having like a secret apartment where she did like some dark research and as well as actually kept some, like, I'm guessing illegal money. She just seemed very sketchy the further the show progressed. Which kind of leads to like the big remaining question after the first season of the series, which is that what happened to Brooklyn exactly after the Allosaurus attack? Did she fake her own death herself, or was it planned by someone else to not actually kill her but kidnap her? Is she held hostage, or is she like actually evil now? We don't really know for sure right now, although I do speculate that she actually is evil and it's going to be like a big emotional standoff between her and the rest of the characters when, they once find out that she actually is alive. But that's for next season. But that brings up what I really want to talk about and what a lot of other fans have torn about in the show, and it's just the fact that Brooklyn is just in fact still alive and not dead, which, some people think that it like lessens and cheapens the story because, the story was driven on Brooklyn's death for like the majority of it, and the fact that she actually isn't dead, it cheapens everything, and it's like a cop out. And I guess Universal or DreamWorks, they were too scared to actually kill off a main character. But I just want to shoot that narrative down because I think it's false that just because Brooklyn is dead that it lessened like the entire show and it doesn't mean anything anymore, because while Brooklyn is still alive, the characters, they didn't know that their actions were completely driven based off of Brooklyn's death. And it's something that is just like, it's just a classic plot twist, and while maybe it's not a greatly executed one, we won't know for sure until season 2 comes out. I think a great comparison is Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. Now, a lot of people didn't initially like Fallen Kingdom and thought it was like, one of the worst Jurassic movies. The only redeeming quality is that, it set up dinosaurs in our world, which was going to lead to Dominion. So it's like basically as long as Dominion hit, Fallen Kingdom is going to be alright. And that's like I feel like about Chaos Theory right now, because it's a continuing story. I feel like people are missing that a lot. Basing like the whole entire story just on this season is kind of silly because it's incomplete, obviously. But yeah, and don't get me wrong, I really initially did want Brooklyn to die, and I'm still not sure if I prefer her dead or not. I think we just have to wait for season 2 to come out and see if it was actually a better idea for her to stay dead. I know it's like kind of unsatisfying now, but we just got to see how it plays out. And believe me, I wanted her dead in the first place. I might still want her dead. We're just gonna have to wait and see, but I'm willing to work with the show. And just to finish up on Brooklyn, but this also applies to the rest of the show, is that most of the complaints I see about the show is based on what people wanted the show to be instead of what the show actually is itself. So basically, people are judging the show based on like what the expectations were or what they wanted to see in the show instead of what like the show was actually, meant to be. Which is fine, of course. Like, you can want things in the show. I just feel like people, they went into this thinking like XYZ was going to happen when that was never really going to be the case. But now what I want to talk about is sort of like the main villain of the series. I mean, it's kind of unknown who the main villain really was, but for this season, I'm just going to call her the main villain. And that was like the really creepy pale lady that was controlling the the Atrociraptors with the whistle. Now, we never really got her name or any information about her exactly, but she was just so creepy. Like, whenever she showed up it was her appearance, and I didn't really know it besides like her very pale skin when I was watching the show. I just knew something was off about her, but after like I watched some like other people's videos, I did realize I think it's because she had no eyebrows. Bro, that's why she was so like creepy. And also like the way she moved, it was like very non-human. Well, honestly, when I was watching the show, I didn't think she was a real human. I was thinking that she was like either like an android or something, or even a human clone, which I know, human clones in the Jurassic franchise, they have a rich history together. So if you were to get one, well, kind of, we had Maisie, right? But if you had like a full-on human clone like introduced in this show for the first time in the Jurassic franchise, that would just be crazy. But besides her very disturbing appearance, her existence also has many implications, because she seems like she has someone that will have many ties or a deep history with this franchise, whether she is a clone or not. Once we find out like where she comes from, what her intentions are, what her backstory is, it's gonna be like a big shocker and gonna surprise a lot of us. I can't wait to know more about her, but now I want to talk about really the interactions of our main heroes in this story, because I think the character development and the story arcs are really good in this. So I'm gonna start with Darius. So it turns out he used to work for the DPW, but he quit. He had a secret relationship with Brooklyn before her death. Yeah, he lived by himself. He's not really talking to anyone. He's pretty isolated, even from his own family. But I really like his interactions from all the other characters. Well, most of them at least. Like when Ben came over, done with Ben, because Ben was like such a paranoid, like conspiracy theorist person, and like Darius wasn't trying to have any of that. But what I really liked was like Darius and Kenji's dynamic, because like they had a fallout after the end of season 5. See, I'm pretty sure it was over Brooklyn, right? Because he was supposed to be there when she died, obviously, and Kenji wasn't happy about that. Speaking of Kenji, it turns out that he broke up with Brooklyn because, Brooklyn was not really paying attention to the relationship. After that, Brooklyn went to Darius to talk about it, which is just crazy. Like, why do you need someone to talk about a breakup when all you could have done to prevent the breakup is talk about it? I suppose that just explains how unstable the relationship with Brooklyn was. There was sort of a love triangle with Brooklyn between, Darius and Kenji after that. And, especially after Kenji and Darius became brothers, it was really tense. And Kenji, yeah, he was really sick of Darius at the beginning. And I mean, it was kind of sad to see, because I really liked friendship in Camp Cretaceous. But I mean, it was an understanding development, and they did kind of gain it back as the story progressed, right? But actually coming back to when Darius was, falling in love with Brooklyn, I did kind of figure like that was like going to be the case. Like honestly, watching Camp Cretaceous, I feel like there was so much more chemistry between Brooklyn and Darius than like, say Brooklyn and Kenji, because I feel different about it now, but especially watching season 4, like for the first time, bruh, I was like so confused on why they were trying to like make Brooklyn and Kenji like a couple all of a sudden too. Like now that you kind of look back on it, there was one scene in the end of season 3 that kind of established it first, but like he didn't. When we watched that scene in season 3, it wasn't obvious that it was like because Kenji was in love with Brooklyn. So it really felt very forced in season 4. But I kind of accepted it, especially by the end of season 5. But I definitely felt like Darius and Brooklyn were a better couple, and probably should have been a couple during Camp Cretaceous, or maybe not should have, but like, more likely to have been a couple more than, Kenji and Brooklyn. Well, I mean, yeah, like just reacting when, Darius said that he was in love with Brooklyn, bro, I was just, I was in shock, but I was just, I was honestly like happy at the same time. But then after, when he revealed that she didn't love him back, bro, I was like, it was pretty heartbreaking. I'm not gonna lie, like I felt bad for my boy, but I mean, it doesn't really matter now. But of course, he also got like the things with Kenji and like his dad specifically, because honestly, I wasn't really expecting Daniel Khan to be in the story, or at least like have a presence as big as he did in the story. Like he wasn't on screen for a lot of time, right? But like he had a pretty big moment in the whole story overall. Although I guess I want to touch on this a bit, but like each episode was pretty short, and I don't remember. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was about the same amount as Camp Cretaceous. I don't know. I felt like there was only like maybe like 3 to 5 scenes in each episode, but I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, because I don't know if it was just me that thought the episodes were really short, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you guys also thought the episodes were really short. But yeah, either way, I feel like Kenji and his dad's like dynamic, it really caved the way for like sense at that point of the story for the rest of the story, because I mean Kenji, he was devastated as we saw. He was having a panic attack. And I really like that because it was very real and very mature. A lot like Yaz's PTSD, right? That was something very sensitive and real in like the real world. And I'm glad that this is taking a more mature take on a kid's show, I guess. Another thing that was more mature in the show was like the kills, although I guess that's not really that surprising. But yeah, there was a lot of kills. Not really that gruesome, except for obviously, Daniel Collins' death. He basically got Yudeski'd from Jurassic Park 3, if you know what I mean. Yeah, they weren't afraid to kill like anyone, basically. I guess except for, our heroes. They were definitely, it definitely felt like they were in danger at being killed. And, like everyone around them got killed. And during that scene when Ben, Sammy, and Yaz were on the isolated island of like the dinosaur-free zone, whatever, and then the Spinax like came and terrorized the island and like killed so many people. Like I thought that was so cool. It reminded me of the scene in I think it was in A Quiet Place Part 2, where there was like this island, right, of people who were isolated from like the clickers, who of course were like the monsters in the movie, but like some clickers found a way onto the island with like boats and stuff, and then they started terrorizing the island. I thought like that scene from Chaos Theory reminded me exactly of that, and I just imagined like if this show was just a little bit more higher rated, then they could have done some nasty stuff that I would have loved to see. Like I wish we get to see like that scene or something like that in like a Jurassic Park movie, because I think it has so much potential. Imagine having someone trying to like, deal their anxiety with dinosaurs or whatever, trying to get back into society, right? But like, you have like this extreme paranoia of dinosaurs. Like it's your number one like fear. And you're in this place that promises you, guarantees you that this is dinosaur free. But then a giant ass carnivore dinosaur just comes and eats like everyone up, bro. It's crazy. It reminded me a lot of like that scene in The Lost World 2 when the Buck came over to San Diego. Well, I mean, first of all, I really like that concept of like a dinosaur-free island, because in the Jurassic universe, obviously we had dinosaurs on an island, right? But imagine an island with no dinosaurs, because like humans and dinosaurs swap places. But it's also like integrated with like now today, where dinosaurs are just roaming any of the streets. You can't really get away from them. So it's like kind of like a post-apocalyptic world ran by dinosaurs. It's not ran by dinosaurs, but it's very close. So, and maybe give it a few more years, maybe the world will get ran down by dinosaurs, and you will see a lot more dinosaur-free zones, not for necessarily therapy or anything, but just for survival. I just think that's a really cool concept, and like something that's probably really realistic if dinosaurs were to be in that world. Another thing that I thought was interesting is that they chose to use the DPW instead of the DFW for like the Dinosaur Authority in the show, which I know that the DPW was canon due to the website Dino Tracker, which actually does make an appearance in the show, which is really cool. It was on Brooklyn's laptop as well as Dark Jurassic in her secret apartment. But obviously we know in Dominion and even in Jurassic World Evolution 2 that the DFW is the one granted by the US government to take care of all the like dinosaurs that was let go during the Lockwood Manor incident. So I think it's interesting that, because honestly, the DPW was made, I'm pretty sure it was originally made for the website. I doubt that the website was made for Chaos Theory, because the website was used as a promotion for Jurassic World Dominion, not Chaos Theory. So I think it was just an interesting choice that they used to use the agency from a website instead of the ones that was using the film, which we already know was granted by the government to be the main authority to capture the dinosaurs. Obviously, we know that they're associated with Biosyn, and Biosyn is the real bad guys, which would have still even made more sense actually in the Chaos Theory story, because we know that the DPW is also corrupt and like it's taking dinosaurs. Like, what if it was a major plot twist that the campers find out that the DPW, well, I guess in this case it would have been the DFW, were taking the dinosaurs to Biosyn Valley in the what's it called, in Italy or whatever, and they would have discovered it first 2 years before the events of Dominion happened. I don't really know what the case is going on here, but I just hope that we do eventually get an explanation of like how the DPW and the DFW are both like working, and like not even like by side, but like just independently, or like just see how things happen. Another thing I want to talk about isn't about the characters themselves, but more about the voice acting, and especially about the voice actors for Kenji and Brooklyn. Because well, first of all, everyone was great, especially like the main cast, right? The ones who returned, honestly, they sounded better and like more improved, I guess, because they had more experience with the character, right? That would definitely help to have a more like higher product than we have seen with Camp Cretaceous. But with the new voice actors for Kenji and Brooklyn, obviously since Ryan Potter and Jenna Ortega didn't reprise the roles, I think they did a really good job. Especially, I don't know their names unfortunately, but whoever did Brooklyn did a really good job because she had big shoes to fill. I thought Jenna Ortega was great as Brooklyn, right? And for the entirety of Camp Cretaceous, I mean, obviously she's very talented, but it was unfortunate that she couldn't reprise her role. I honestly, it was hard for me to tell the difference, to be honest. Like, even when the trailers first released, right, and we're here Brooklyn talking in the trailers, I didn't know immediately that wasn't Jenna Ortega, because it wasn't revealed who were the voices yet. Well, for Kenji and Brooklyn at least, we just assumed that it was the same voice actors at the time. Although I will say this, I was definitely able to recognize the difference between the new voice actor for Kenji and the old one. It was kind of immediate because they don't really sound like each other that much at all. Although I will say it was definitely noticeable when we first got introduced to Kenji and Chaos Theory. Although to be fair, I think the thing was that he was talking weird in the beginning, or like he wasn't like talking normally or chill. He was like, he's like giddy and talking about like his own business. Because I feel like after, he was told about the serious situation, he became more chill and his voice sounded more normal, and that definitely helped. And the more we progressed through the series, I think, I don't know, I could just be crazy, I could have just been like thinking myself that, but I thought that he sounded like more like Ryan Potter, who I thought Ryan Potter had an amazing impression of Kenji during the entirety of Camp Cretaceous. I was really sad that he couldn't come back because he was really great. He was one of my favorite parts of the entire series, completely honest, but I'm not going to put that against someone who had nothing to do with that behind the scenes, right? The new Kenji voice actor. So overall, I think he did a great job, especially when it got to the more emotional parts of the story, with everything going on with Kenji's dad and Brooklyn, of course. The animation too was really great. I think my main gripe with Camp Cretaceous, it wasn't that the animation was bad, but it's just like the settings, they were very bland, and like they weren't that interesting to look at. Like, it was pretty, yeah, it was just like blank. There wasn't too much going on. But with Chaos Theory, like the settings, they were a lot more like detailed and elevated. There was a lot more like fog and trees and rocks, more of the environment. Obviously they had the benefit of like buildings, compared to Camp Cretaceous, where it was just like, it might have been like a bunch of trees, right? And then there's just like one building, by itself, and it was like kind of boring looking, right? But yeah, I think the overall, the animation itself was really great. I really like the style. I mean, it's the same style as Camp Cretaceous, right? But I think it looked more higher res or something, if you know what I mean. And I really appreciated that. I will say that the emotional aspect of the story it's not as emotional as I think some people are making it to be. I don't know. I mean, obviously everyone's emotions are different, right? Like, not talking about like sensitivity, but just like, some people might find things more sad than others, right? I mean, I think the show was definitely emotional and heavy, but it didn't get me crying, I'm gonna be real. Although I do think definitely the most emotional scene that really got me like stressing, like in the edge of my seat, was like when Bumpy was giving birth. Because like I thought she was gonna die. Like, it was made that she was gonna die, right? And it's gonna be so sad. I was like, there's no way they killed Bumpy, right? Because that was like the baby Yoda of the Jurassic franchise, Plus, like, I was calling it that she was giving her birth because, when Sammy went to go treat Bumpy, and she noticed that she was like bumping her tail up and down. I was like, bro, she does this with cows all the time, right? Like, what's her cow's name? Like Bertha or something? She always talks about like how she has to get the cow unstuck when they're giving birth and whatever, which obviously happens in real life, right? So
I thought it was gonna be that, but then it turns out it was like, or it seemed like she actually did die. But then, no, she was pregnant the whole time, and she just laid an egg. I was like, bro, it was just such a roller coaster of emotions, man. It was hard to believe. I'm glad that she didn't die. I guess I'll talk briefly over like the species that we saw before I end the video. But yeah, I think the main, obviously, dinosaurs were the Atrocitoraptors, and I think they were a great inclusion. We only saw 3 of them. Honestly, when I was watching it, I didn't realize that it was just 3. I thought all 4 were there, Tiger, Red, Panthera, and Ghost. But I guess that's just like, and that was part of the illusion, right? Like even Ben said it himself that like, you know, they were making it seem like there were more like Atrocitoraptors than they were, because you know they were using like camouflage and they were very stealthy, they were very intelligent. But yeah, it turns out there was just Ghost, Tiger, and Panthera. I think Red was up there, and you know, obviously them being under the control of that weird pale lady, it was definitely creepy. But as well as like the other new species like Tudacanon, Pachyrhinosaurus, it was kind of like a weird inclusion. It wasn't weird, but it was like, it wasn't really that important, right? Same thing with Suchomimus, actually. I want to talk about Suchomimus because really, honestly, when I first watched the series, right, I didn't notice that it was there. And yeah, I knew Suchomimus was going to be in the show because of like the trailers, but like I didn't go into watching the show expecting to see Suchomimus. And you know, it showed up in episode 10. So by the time I was watching episode 10, I completely forgot about Suchomimus. It's not in my mind. And when I saw it, I didn't even realize it was Suchomimus when I was watching it. I thought it was like another Beckelspinax. Like I didn't have like any reaction to it at all, except for like when it bit the Parasaurolophus in the back. I was like, damn, that must have hurt. But like I didn't realize it was a Suchomimus until I watched like other people's videos. I mean, I guess it's cool. Suchomimus is there. Its design is cool. I just didn't realize it was a Suchomimus. That was Beckelspinax. But talking about Beckelspinax, I don't know. I have mixed. I mean, I wasn't familiar with the species before the show, right? And apparently it's not actually called Beckelspinax anymore. It's called like Altus-Spinax or something. I don't know. But I feel like there's just way more cooler Spinosaurus that you could use. Even if it is Suchomimus, actually. You could just use Suchomimus instead of Beckelspinax. But I guess, you know, you educate more people about new species, so it's not a complete loss. The design is alright. It's kind of like Concavenator, honestly. But, you know, overall it was fine, I guess. But yeah, I can't wait for season 2. And if you want me to give like a number review out of 10 for season 1 of Chaos Theory, I'm gonna give it a solid 9 out of 10. That's for sure. I thought it was really good. And yeah, I really hope that we can get season 2 really soon. But of course, that's just my opinion. If you have different opinions or the same opinions even, tell me in the comments below. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. And trust me, I'm gonna make a crazy amount of Chaos Theory videos as well as a bunch of other Jurassic videos. So make sure you subscribe with notifications on. And stay tuned because I'm gonna be posting and posting and posting. So go make sure to follow my TikTok and Twitter as well if you want to on the socials. You can get, you know, probably more frequent updates on there. But yeah, other than that, guys, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.